How's it going, guys? Welcome back to episode 9 of OKnowsSports. I'm your host, Owen Schiff. As you know, this is the best place for all NFL news, my favorite takes of the week, my favorite bets of the week, also featured sport of the week. Let's get into it. Obviously, we wrapped up the last week of the NFL season, unfortunately. I know I was sad to hear Scott Hanson's last words in week 18, but it's been a great year. It's been a lot of fun to watch. Wasn't as successful for my Bears, but I know a lot of you guys out there that are watching with teams in the playoffs are hyped up for this wildcard weekend coming up. And hey, we are too here at OKnowsSports. While it is wildcard weekend and all those games are great and I can't wait to watch them all, another huge thing that just came out is the AP All-Pro. That means the players voted and they voted who is All-Pro. I'm going to read off who they have as the All-Pros. And then I'm going to give my own OKnowsSports take exclusively who I think should be actually on the All-Pro team. The players said that should be Lamar at quarterback, Christian McCaffrey at running back, Tyreek Hill and CeeDee Lamb as the two receivers, Travis Kelce as the tight end. Then the offensive line reads left to right, Trent Williams, Joel Bitonio, Jason Kelce, Zach Martin, and Lane Johnson. And then on defense, they have the edge rushers, Myles Garrett and Max Crosby. They have the interior rushers as the D tackles, Chris Jones, Dexter Lawrence, and Aaron Donald. The linebackers, Roquan Smith and Fred Warner. The corners with Deron Bland and Pat Surtain. And the free safety, Jesse Bates, strong safety, Kyle Hamilton. Obviously, this is the players voting, so I'm not going to sit here and say that's a bad list, but I do disagree with some of these, and let's jump right into what I'm thinking here at OKnowsSports. And I want to hear what you guys think on, do you think the players got it right and everyone is on there that deserves to be on there, or do you think there's a few guys on there that are on there because of their last name and that their name holds weight? I'm going to give my take, but I want you to comment below what you think. So, I got quarterback Lamar Jackson. I think that's kind of a no-brainer. I think he's running away with the MVP because it's a quarterback league. Unfortunately, it's a quarterback award basically nowadays. But nonetheless, I think Lamar's played great this year. I think Lamar is the sure shot All-Pro as the quarterback. I think McCaffrey is sure shot All-Pro running back. That's not really even close. It's unfortunate for Raheem Mostert putting up 22 touchdowns. It sucks. If there was two running backs, he'd be the second guy all day. He's been awesome this year. He's been a surprise. 31 years old, putting up 20-plus touchdowns. I'm happy for him, but C-Mac's the only option here. I agree with the players in Tyreek and CeeDee Lamb, both going over 1,700 yards. It's a pretty impressive feat. Those guys are pretty dominant. Here's where I differ. So Travis Kelce was voted by the players. You know how much we love the stats here at OKnowsSports. Travis Kelce this year had 93 catches for 980 yards and 5 touchdowns. That's a great season. He's Travis Kelce. He's had a lot of 1,000-yard seasons. But this is not one of his best seasons. I don't know if it's because of Taylor Swift or I don't know what it is, but I'm going to give my OKnowsSports who I think should be the tight end on the All-Pro team, and that's the rookie out of Detroit, Sam Laporte. Sam Laporta ranks top 5 in tight ends in catches and in yards. He has 86 catches and 890 yards, both less than Kelce. But here's a stat that I don't know if you knew, but either way, we're telling you here at OKnowsSports because we love the statistics. He's got double the amount of touchdowns that Kelce has. He has 10 TDs this season. That's first in all tight ends, and I'm pretty sure that ranks top 5 in the whole league in tight ends for all receivers and tight ends included. So I think he should be first-team All-Pro for tight ends. Although Kelce is great, I think he's on there because of his name and his likeness because, truthfully, he is a sure-shot Hall of Fame tight end. There's not many people ever like him. But I don't think he had his best year. Comment below if you disagree with me, especially you Chiefs fans out there. Next, we have the O-line, the guys in the trenches. I agree 100% with what the AP voted, the players voted, with Trent, Bitonio, Kelce, Zach Martin, and Lane Johnson. There's cases for guys all across the league. I really think these are the 5 best O-linemen. and the best of their position. There's not a ton of debate for me here. Then we'll jump onto the defensive side. I like Max Crosby and Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett leading the NFL in sacks, probably going to win Defensive Player of the Year again. And Max Crosby, those are just two irreplaceable guys. Max Crosby plays every snap. I don't know if you guys saw this, and if you haven't, make sure you look it up after this video. Max Crosby 2 games ago played after staying 2 nights in the hospital with a deep infection in his leg. And the doctors were like, I don't know if you should play. I don't know if it's smart for you. I'm going to post a picture right here above my head of what his leg looked like. It is ridiculous. And I can't believe he played. He's a warrior. He played almost every snap. He had blood rolling through his sock. This guy's a warrior. There's no doubt that these are the 2 DNs. If you disagree, I'd be shocked. And I'd love to hear why. Because I think that's just the bottom line answer for the 2 defensive ends for the All-Pro team. Next, we're talking about the defensive linemen. I agree with Chris Jones. He was 3rd in the NFL in sacks for defensive tackles, and he was number 1 in QB hurries with 56, led by a good amount on that as well. I don't think that's really a debate either. He is really the cornerstone of that Chiefs defense, and he's going to be a huge part for that team in the playoffs. And in case you didn't watch the last video, we bet on him last week to hit the bonus. I don't know if you saw when he did record that sack and the bet that we put on him to record over a half a sack. He did, and the team was going nuts. That was an awesome video to see. Really fun to watch the team kind of get behind him. You can tell he's such a good guy and such an easy guy to get behind and a good captain on that defense. The next pick is a lot different than Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald is another guy that is like Kelsey, where he had a great year. He always does. He's one of the best players in the whole NFL. And here's a little nugget, fun fact for you from OKnowsSports. There's 3 guys in the history of the NFL to win 3 Defensive Player of the Years. Aaron Donald is one of them. Who are the other 2? Comment below what your answer is, because there's 2 other guys that have won 3 Defensive Player of the Years other than Aaron Donald. But here is one of my biggest sleepers on my OKnowsSports All-Pro team. Justin Madubuike on the Ravens. I definitely butchered that name. I apologize. I'm sorry. But here's a guy that you probably haven't thought about much. And I wanted to put him on flyer under the radar a few weeks back, but Kyle Hamilton just outshined him, unfortunately. But he's got 13 sacks this year, which is number 1 in all D tackles. He's got 46 QB hurries, which is 3rd in all D tackles. And he's top 6 in both tackles for loss and solo tackles for defensive tackles. This guy has had an all-pro year. It's that simple. He's just an all-pro. Every single game in, game out. In the Niners game, he had a sack. Against Tua, he was dominating in the backfield all game. QB hurries, QB hits. No matter what it is, this guy's got an unlimited motor. He's a 3rd-year guy out of Texas A&M. I like him a lot, and I think he's going to get paid the big bucks in the offseason because of his production this year. I mean, 13 sacks as a guy that you probably haven't even heard of before. It's pretty impressive. Next, we got the 2 linebackers. I think it's about time that Roquan Smith is on an all-pro team. I mean, he's an ex-Bear, as you guys know. It breaks my heart that he's an ex-Bear. Would love to have him on the team right now, but he's an all-pro. He just is. He's the quarterback of that Ravens defense, the best defense in the NFL. And it's no surprise, Fred Warner's right next to him. I agree with that from the AP All-Pro. Those are the 2 best linebackers in the NFL. Not really too much to debate about that. Now we'll jump into the cornerbacks. And here is where I have 2 different opinions than Deron Bland and Pat Surtain. I think you can call me biased, but I got stats to back it up. You know I always do. Jalen Johnson from the Bears and Jalen Ramsey from the Dolphins. Here are my statistics to back that up before you jump all down my throat. Jalen Johnson this year allowed 1 touchdown the entire season. On top of that, he had 4 interceptions and allowed 227 yards all year. He played in 16 of the 17 games and allowed 227 yards. I mean, that's ridiculous. Also, one really in-depth stat, because I love looking at all the statistics for the cornerbacks, is yards per completion. He was the lowest in the entire NFL. And that's a cool stat if you think about it. So if you think about guys that get beat all the time, like Eli Apple gets beat all the time on deep routes, That doesn't really happen to Jalen Johnson, and that's why I think he deserves a spot on this All-Pro team. Pat Surtain's great. Deron Bland is awesome. Deron Bland had all the pick sixes this year, but they get burned deep frequently. Jalen Johnson, that doesn't really happen to him too often. He let up 227 yards in 16 games. I'm not the best at mental math, but I know that's about 25 yards a game. So unbelievable season from him. Sophomore or junior in this league out of Utah. He's special. I think he deserves an All-Pro spot. Next, I got Jalen Ramsey. I think Jalen Ramsey, I've talked about him a little bit on OKnowsSports in a few previous episodes, but he's a game changer. He changes that entire Dolphins defense. It's an entirely new look. He's also only allowing 26 yards per game and has allowed 1 touchdown all year. And the craziest thing about Jalen Ramsey, and this is why I believe he deserves to be on the All-Pro team, he gets a 10% of the target share. That's number 1 in the NFL. So for those of you that don't watch a ton of football or do not understand what that means when the quarterback, if he were to throw it 100 times, he would only throw it Jalen Ramsey's way 10 times out of the 100. Think about how crazy that is. Of all the passing plays that they do, they choose to throw it at the linebackers, at another corner, at the slot corner, at the deep safety. They only throw to him 10 times out of 100 or 1 out of 10 times. That is a ridiculous stat, and that just shows his dominance, how scared the QBs are to throw it his way. Next, we'll jump into the safeties, and the last thing we'll talk about for the All-Pro team for OKnowsSports, and I agree with both of these. Jesse Bates led all safeties in solo tackles with 93, which is pretty crazy, by the way. He's not that big. I mean, I don't know how much you've watched of the Falcons this season, but he's not that big, and he's got 93 solo tackles this. And then Kyle Hamilton. I mean, I don't need to say much about him. He was on Under the Radar segment for us with 63 solo tackles, I think 5 interceptions, a fumble recovery, a few sacks, 3 or 4 sacks as well, and he's got 15 pass breakups. This guy does it all. I mean, I talked about it on the Under the Radar segment. If you're not following the Instagram, go give it a follow. I don't know sports. But he's just awesome. I mean, he's 6'4". He's a unicorn of a player. He really is. And I'm happy that he's getting his respect. The second-year guy out of Notre Dame, he deserves his respect. And I'm happy to see that he's finally getting it. Now we'll talk about favorite bets of the week and discuss last week. Not our best week, I won't lie. The Jags were playing like they didn't even care if they made the playoffs. Trevor Lawrence, dude, what are you doing? The out route throw he threw looked like I was throwing the ball with my left hand. I mean, he overthrew Zay Jones by about 10 yards. I don't know what was going on, but that's on me. I'll take responsibility for that. Tried being a little fishy, getting a little frisky with our first ever parlay for a whale play. Whale play missed. It's unfortunate. Bucks hit, Jags missed, so that missed. Chris Jones hit, hoping you tail on that. And then DeAndre Hopkins. He caught 46 yards. He needed 53.5 for our over-under. That was a bummer because he also needed 49 to reach his bonus. That was a bummer to not see him reach his bonus, but I don't know if you caught that I talked about also taking his receptions line, but he had 7 catches, so he did hit on his reception line, but our official play missed, unfortunately. And then our bonus play. Again, I don't know if you're following the Instagram, but if you're not, it's about time you do. We took Matt Gay over 1.5 field goals, and that slammed. That actually hit in the first half. It's minus 120 odds. So we hit on that. That was exciting. And now we'll jump into our whale play this week. And the whale play this week for Wildcard Weekend is Chiefs -4 at home against the Dolphins. I would love it if you could buy it to -3, minus 140, if your book allows it. So that's my whale play. -3, minus 140, Chiefs. I got some, as you know, I mean, obviously, I got stats to back it up here. First of all, Patrick Mahomes, he had a good year, but it was a little bit of a down year for him. And I'm not a huge fan of his, but at the end of the day, it's Patrick Mahomes. He's won MVPs. He's won a Super Bowl MVP. He's amazing. He's probably still the best quarterback in the NFL, even though he didn't have the best season. So you can never count him out. On top of that, the Dolphins are dealing with a lot of injury issues right now. Unfortunately, Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips are out for the year. Xavier Howard is dealing with some injuries as well. They're struggling, and Mostert's banged up. Waddle's also hurt. I mean, they're really, really banged up, and the Chiefs' receiving core is terrible. I mean, I think I could make that team and run routes just like Kadarius Toney could, but I got faith in Mahomes here, and I think they're going to win. And here's a stat I got two stats that are crazy. I call them ESPN stats, where they're just outrageous, and no one would be able to know these stats unless you study it for your life. So I checked out this tweet. I saw this tweet. Kind of crazy, but I love the stats here at OKnowSports. This is a great little nugget for you guys. Patrick Mahomes in his career is 4-0 at home when it's 18 degrees or less, and he's 4-0 against the spread at home when it's 18 degrees or less. Here's the crazier one. Patrick Mahomes in his career is 11-1 overall at home at Arrowhead when the temperature is below 35 degrees, and he's 10-2 against the spread in those games. I mean, do you need to know any more? Mahomes is probably, unfortunately, it kills me to say it, still the best player in the NFL, even though he had a bad year. Going into the playoffs, you got to rank him number one. On top of this, Tua does not play well in cold weather. He's from Hawaii. He played at Alabama, and now he plays for the Miami Dolphins. Is there a theme behind that? I think yes. He loves the warm weather. He does well when he knows exactly what's going on. The truth is, you don't know what's going on when it's 18 degrees and it's pouring snow and whipping wind in Kansas City at Arrowhead. I'm backing the Chiefs here for our whale play of the week. Let's ride. I love Chiefs for our whale play, but I got two other plays that I also love. I like Amon-Ra St. Brown over 89 receiving yards. This is hitting 4 of his last 4 games. The Rams secondary is good, but Amon-Ra plays terrific against the zone, against his own defense, and the Rams play a lot of zone. Then my last play of the week is Browns money line. They're currently -2 against the Texans, so you're looking at about -130 for the money line. I think this Browns team is good. I've talked about them a lot here on OKnowSports, and I think them at home. CJ Stroud hasn't really played a defense like the Browns yet. The Browns, they're not the Ravens and they're not the Niners, but they are darn near close. I like the Browns in this matchup. I also like Amon-Ra. Obviously, love the Chiefs -3. Thanks for listening. This is episode 9 of OKnowSports. I want you guys to comment who you think your biggest snub of the All-Pro team was. And if you agree with who my picks for the All-Pro were, or if you agree with the AP, the players' picks. Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. Subscribe. Smash that like button. Comment your takes. Peace.